Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "He who passively accepts evil is as much involved as he who helps perpetrate it, and he who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it." With the rise of social media, cyberbullying has been on the rise for quite some time. According to the Journal of Adolescent Health, 20 to 40% of internet users may have been cyberbullying victims. With the rise of cyberbullying and the use of social media, we also have something that is quite concerning, and that is the bystander effect. According to Britannica.com, it is the inhibiting influence of the presence of others on a person's willingness to help someone in need. One prominent example of the bystander effect and the dangers of it is the case of Kevin Carter and this behind Pulitzer winner photograph done in March of 1993. According to the Page Studios Guide, this photograph represents the brutality and suffering of the people of the sub-Saharan Africa. In this photograph, a female toddler is attempting to crawl towards a nearby rescue center for food and shelter, and a vulture is standing right behind her, waiting to eat the toddler as she dies. It was claimed by Carter that he waited for about 20 minutes to get to the picture of the vulture with the spread wings that he thought would be a better picture, but it didn't happen, so he took the picture. The female toddler wanted the food and was trying to get to the aid station, but Kevin Carter did not help. He just waited there for 20 minutes to get the shot of the vulture with the open wings, and after taking the shot, he flew the vulture away from the girl and left her as is. Later, upon asking Carter why he did not help the girl, he said, "I didn't want to get involved." So today, we'll be talking about the bystander effects, the cause, the effects, and how to minimize it. Because remember what Elie Wiesel said: what hurts the victim the most is not the cruelty of the oppressor, but the silence of the bystander. So first, let's talk about what causes the bystander effect. According to the article Bystander Intervention in Cyberbullying by Nicholas Brody and Anita Bagnesley, upwards of 50% of students report being bullied in an online environment, and almost 20% of college students report having experienced cyberbullying within the last 3 months. Cyberbullying seems to be the latest cause of the bystander effect. The US seems to have a more individualistic view of life, which is why people tend to stay out of other people's conflicts. Sometimes the bystander behavior is decided by the situation, and then they decide whether to intervene or not. In most cases, they do not. According to the article Cyberbullying Bystander Intervention by the Department of Communication of Cornell University, BIM built on the effect research by explicating 5 steps that bystanders engage in the decision to intervene. 1. Notice the event. 2. Praise it as an emergency. 3. Take responsibility for helping. 4. Select an appropriate intervention action. And 5. Implement the intervention method. The article mentioned above says that the bystander intervention is more likely to take indirect forms, for example, flagging contact to a moderator, than direct forms, like telling the bully to stop, because indirect intervention requires less efforts, resources, power compared to direct confrontation. In the article by Brody and by Gansley, they mentioned that that is likely that the quality of the relationship matters when predicting whether to intervene or not. People tend to more likely help a close family or family member than an acquaintance. So this brings us to the effect of the bystander effect. According to the article by the Department of Communication of Cornell University, because anyone can view, respond, or reshare content online, the number of types of individuals involved in cyberbullying incidents can at times seem limitless. The study explored whether bystanders' intentions and perceptions differ when it's one versus multiple offenders engaged in the cyberbullying, and they found that increasing the number of people engaged in cyberbullying increased the perception of hurt and appraisal of cyberbullying. They also found that those who saw 4 offenders were more likely to feel personally responsible for the situation and more likely to express a willingness to directly intervene than participants who witnessed one cyberbully. So this brings us to how to minimize the bystander effect. According to Right to Be and Sanjohal, a doctor of psychology, there's something called the 5 Ds of intervention that can help distract, delegate, document, delay, and direct. If direct intervention is difficult, a distraction can momentarily diffuse the situation. This will change the direction of the momentum of the escalation. Number two, delegate. Don't feel like you must act alone. If you feel like you can't handle a situation by yourself, enlist the help from others. Number three, document. Assess your safety before you go ahead. Publicizing another person's traumatic experience without their consent is no way to be an effective or helpful bystander. Number four, delay. Some types of harassment happen very quickly, in which this case is always good practice to ask if they're okay, if the victim is okay, or if there's any way for you to support them. And number five is directly to step in and pull your friend or person out of the situation to prevent it from turning into a crisis. These steps can help you in a situation of cyberbullying or in a situation in real life. In conclusion, bystander intervention may effectively combat cyberbullying when we decide to intervene. We talked about the cause and effects of the bystander effect and how to minimize it. Remember, if one person steps up and intervenes in a situation, other people will follow.